Good afternoon, and today we sent out a text message to finish up this old crop corn sales, and it follows up with yesterday's daily report and audio. And we just want to take a step back on these markets a little bit, and we got to look at the big picture in here. And as we look at a monthly corn chart on corn, the two red lines out there are 350 to 450 a bushel. And yes, the previous 3 years have been much above that point, but you got to keep in mind when we get back to the 5, 6 years before that, we spent the majority of the time in that range when we had adequate supply. Now, we're not doom and gloom. We have front month sep corn right around that 375 to 380 area. US corn is competitive on the world market. We can see a bounce in here, but how much can we really expect? That's the biggest question. Now, if we just look at corn here over this past year, you can look at it in calendar year 2024. We have not had a weekly close above 470 a bushel. In fact, we've only had 5 weekly closes above 450 a bushel. So we could just make a pretty good argument that all of a sudden you're looking at 450, 460, 470 is going to be pretty tough resistance to get above on front month corn. Now, when it comes to marketing this crop that's going to be harvested right now, we really need to keep in mind the carry of the market. As we walked in here, we had spot sep corn around 380. Deese was just shy of $4. But you get to May, we're up to 427. And so now if we think this market can bounce, and we think a reasonable bounce would be 10, 20, maybe even 25 cents, you add that to that May corn contract, all of a sudden we're back into the 440 to 450 area, maybe even a potential trade up to 460. Now, that's a level that we think we're going to have to look at marketing this grain at. Again, we don't want to be doom and gloom in here on prices, but anytime we can look at this crop year getting to this 440 to the 460 range, we've got to be looking at getting some sales or some price protection in place. Now, as we want to wrap things up in here today, we're going to target this year's crop sales on the May in this 440 and above area. I think you got to consider cash forward sales, hedge to arrives. You may want to consider fence positions. When we make a sale at this level, though, what you're really trying to do, though, is challenge this market. Challenge the market and say, prove that I'm going to be wrong on an up move. If you sell some May corn at 450 and it goes to 460, that's probably a good problem for your farming operation. The other thing we really got to get back towards is really the old time style of marketing. And what that is you just look at the markets and you sell the carry. We have to avoid selling corn in the spot market. The last thing we can't do is DP this grain. Delayed pricing is basically giving the grain away for nothing, was you don't get much back in return. The other thing is when you DP your grain, it is very unlikely that you would ever get a basis improvement. Now, one last thing in here right now is we probably got to start looking to Deese 25 corn, and especially if it gets back to that 450 area, that's probably going to be a good place to start getting some sales on the books. If that's a low sale, we view that as being a good problem. Again, we're not doom and gloom, but we kind of got to dig in here right now and say what's the best opportunity these markets are going to give us, look ahead, take advantage of them, and tell ourselves we can live with that if we're wrong. I have to admit to you here right now, selling this last corn at 380 today sure didn't feel that good. Any questions, comments, feel free to reach out to us. Have a great day.